Rob G, we are not piling on. But my goodness.
We got to talk about your Raiders.
Look, Rob G, and I know your guys beat Denver head up. But Denver's quarterback, Russell Wilson, is having a season from hell. And they're still better than the Raiders. Your Raiders are horrible, Rob G. Horrific. Terrible. Horrendous. Awful. I mean, Rob, the Jaguars, and I get it, Jaguars are a little improved. They beat them. Then the Saints demolished them last week. Y'all beat the Texans. Congrats. Played the Chiefs tough, but lost. I mean, this is terrible. 2-6.
But Chris,
how do you get worse? And you added better players. I know there've been some injuries, but you added better players. How do you get worse?
And here's the kicker.
Unbelievable.
They've blown 3 leads of 17 points or more, Chris, in one season. They were up this past Sunday 17-0. Yep. Let the good times
I
roll.
Thought they had a good run.
And I saw a stat that Rob G had on our notes that Chris, coming into this season, they were 52-2 when they had a lead of 17 points or more. 52-2, and now they've lost 3 games
since 2000. Yep.
Right, since 2000. And now they've lost 3 games in the same season, up by 17 or more.
Rob, like, I'm sorry. I don't, what was Josh McDaniels' contract, Rob G? Because unless this turns around, I don't know how you bring him back. I'm sorry. And he's from Ohio. You know I'm from there. Covered the high school he went to a lot, Barberton. But my goodness, they were 10-7 and made the playoffs a year ago. Added Devontae Adams, and now you're 2-6? Like, Rob, how do you explain that? How do you justify bringing him back? You could have kept Rich Bisaccia for a lot less.
Dude, because they love, for whatever reason, Chris, they are in love with this guy. No matter what the results are, right? I just don't get it. Like this is, he has some spell over them. They just think he is the cat's meow despite, what's his record now?
His overall head coaching record is 13-23.
13-23.
It was 11-17 and with a year and a half. Yeah, and he started 6-0. Remember, he was
Chris, he won his first 6 games.
So think of that. He's 7-23 over the last 2 years, basically. 2 years of coaching. Come on, man. And I don't know what it is, because he is. I think you would admit this, Rob. He's a good offensive coordinator. They call him a great one. I mean, he did, obviously, had tremendous success with Tom Brady, but also, Rob, had success with Mac Jones. I mean, at least making the playoffs. Mac Jones looked a lot better last year than he looks this year.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Josh McDaniels is not a top flight offensive coordinator. But, Rob, we've seen it several times. Just because you're a great coordinator does not mean you're going to be a great head coach. Even a good head coach. Doesn't mean you won't, but it certainly doesn't mean that you will.
It ain't automatic.
No. And I mean, what,
all right,
Rob,
Chris,
how do you do it?
Here's my question to you. Should he be fired? Should he be fired? They have way too much talent.
What's he got? 3 years left on this deal? What do you get, a 4-year deal? 5-year deal?
Well, his deal's not even public. That says a lot right there. Yeah. Remember the John Gruden one was never actually public. It was just people said it was 10 years,
never
100 million.
leaked?
No, never.
Wow.
Him and the GM got hired together, and neither one of their contracts leaked.
You know that's crazy. You know why? Because everybody sees people's salaries. People got to cut checks. Somebody knows what he's making, and for it not to leak out,
whatever it is
amazing.
too much. Either way.
But Rob G, I'm dead serious, Chris.
I don't know
would
how
you fire him after the season.
If they finish, say, 6-11, after going 10-7 a year ago, paying Devontae Adams all that money. I mean, if you're trying to win football games, you don't. I don't know. I mean, it's probably a good amount of money. Do you try to give him one more shot? But I don't know. I mean, it's not a small sample size at this point. It'll be 3 years or 2 and 3 seasons. One he got fired during. But Rob G, what would you do? I'd
fire him today.
Terrible.
I'd fire him today if I could. There is absolutely nothing in what we've seen now, what we've seen in the past with Denver, that would lead you to believe that Josh McDaniels is a good head coach. All of this started even before the season when he made headlines by telling Derek Carr, I don't want you to audible. I want you to run the plays that I call.
Yep.
He told Derek Carr after week 1 when their offensive line was really shaky, I don't want you scrambling. I want you to win from the pocket. Devontae Adams, who doesn't speak, like he's not quite Kawhi Leonard level of mute, but he does not talk. He is one of the few superstar receivers who is relatively quiet. And even he's
I heard him
talk
more on the Taco Bell commercial.
Exactly.
In his
even
NFL
he's
career.
been saying, look, I don't know why we went away from what was working yesterday. I don't get it. He said
you're up 17-0.
It's like it's not just that. I'm sure Josh McDaniels wants to win, but it seems like it's more important to him that he win to win his way. Exactly.
And I'm sorry. Look, there is nothing worse than a coach who cares more about doing it his way than winning.
Chris, I always go back to Pat Riley. Pat Riley was Showtime. He had the players who could play that game. When he came to the Knicks, it wasn't like you're going to do Showtime. It's going to be at Madison Square Garden. He don't have those players. He totally changed the way he coached and took the players that he had and made a system that fit them. That's coaching.
Rob, and a lot of our younger listeners might not understand that. They might only remember, and granted, they might not even remember that,
right?
But they probably heard stories of Pat Riley coaching the Knicks, and they were tough, and they'd fight you, and they beat you up, and defense.
You go in the lane, you getting hit.
Yep. The Lakers, like you said, right, it would almost be like Mike D'Antoni becoming like a defense-first coach. It wasn't quite to that extreme, but Showtime ran. Now, they played defense too, but they ran. They scored. They were one of the best offenses ever. Magic pushed the ball up the court all the time. And when he got, you're right, when he got to the Knicks, he completely changed.
Because he looked around, Chris, like and he said, he looked around and like, I don't have these players.
I got no Magic. My point guard's not Magic Johnson. It's an old Derek Harper. It's an old Doc Rivers, I mean, and Rob, Greg Popovich was the same way. Not the same extreme, but he went from the Twin Towers of David Robinson and Tim Duncan to winning his first championship to, Duncan's the focal point down low. And then when Duncan got older, Tony Parker became the focal point of the offense. And they were a defense first team, and then they became an offense first team. And remember the year they beat Miami, they had all the shooting. Like, that's, to your point, coaching. All right? And here, Rob, I say this all the time about Jerry Jones. If you are a coach, owner, GM, whatever, you don't have to force, like, your way to get credit. If you just put your team in position to win and they win, you'll get credit. Whether you're hands on, hands off, whatever, you will get credit. And too many of these guys, Rob, they want to do it their way. And
this ain't Burger King.
And it ain't fantasy football or basketball either, right? It's not about you having fun. It's not about you showing us how smart you are. It's about winning.
And that's
Rob,
what it
we
is,
talk about
Chris.
it all the time with Kyle Shanahan.
Yep.
As good a coach as he is, sometimes he tries to get too cute.
Like being in field goal range against the Pats in the
Yep.
Super Bowl, Chris. All you got to do is run the ball 3 times into the line, kick a
Yep.
field goal, and you win the Super Bowl. Instead, he's throwing the ball.
You want
Why?
to be cute. Yep. You want to show how smart you are. And that's not what it's about. It's about the players. Period. And I don't know what the money situation is like. If you take money out of it, I don't know that I fire him today, like Rob G said, but he ain't coming back next year unless there's a turnaround. I tell you that.
There's so
Again,
much talent on
right?
this team, Chris. You
Oh, my
cannot look at
gosh.
this and go, this is acceptable. Something is rotten in Denmark, and it's
In
Josh
Vegas, too.
McDaniels. Yeah.